we are.
Here we are.
Ryan,
Welcome.
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 And welcome. We're here in the Epiphan studio at Epiphan HQ, and we're excited today because this is a little bit of a master class for Perl and Epiphan Edge.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a good time to do that. You know, we're in the middle of summer. It's a nice, beautiful day here in Ottawa.
It is.
And here we are in our nicely air-conditioned
Yes.
studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thanks to all of you for joining us. So we're just going to give everyone a couple minutes to trickle in here. I see we've got about 62 people, 64 here right now, and we got people from all over the world here. George is joining from his cold basement in Ottawa. I know George loves air conditioning a lot. Right?
You know, he tells about it all the time.
He doesn't like it. But we have folks here from, looks like all over, Tennessee, New York City, Chicago. We got Daniel, Derwin from New York. What did I see this? Peter's here from Sweden.
Nice.
Toronto, Chicago, Greensboro, Indianapolis. So let us know where you're joining us from today. We got a few different time zones.
Italy.
Paolo from
Amazing.
Italy, nice.
Yeah.
This is great. Just to give a little bit of an agenda for today, we're going to cover a few different topics about how to pair your Perl devices to the cloud so that you can automate and simplify your video workflow.
Absolutely. Yep.
So we're going to give a demo and kind of a walkthrough of some of the capabilities and features and how to do some of these things. But we're also here to answer your questions. So you're going to see in Wistia on the right, there's a little Q&A button, a little question mark. So if you have a question that you want to make sure that we see, throw it into the Q&A. And then I think what we're going to try to do is fire through the demo and the overview as quickly as possible so that we can save as many questions for the end.
Yeah. Yeah. We've typically found there's lots of questions on our webinars, so we're going to try to dedicate a lot of time to those, get through the content first, and then we're here to answer your questions.
Totally. And don't hesitate to chime in on chat as well. We've got some Epiphan moderators in there who can help answer any questions you might have right there in chat. And then lastly, I'll just call attention, there is a button for polls as well. If you give us your response on those polls, it helps us understand who the audience is and who wants to learn about this stuff.
Yep.
And maybe we can follow up with you as well after the fact. So, Ryan, here we are today. So let's talk about, first of all, let's just talk about why cloud, okay? So like, why do we want our, Perls, which are for capture, streaming, and recording video, why do we need them attached to the cloud? And we have our Epiphan Edge Cloud Management Portal.
Yep.
So maybe you can first kind of describe like what it is and why is it called Edge, first of all?
Absolutely. So the important thing about Epiphan Cloud and Edge, which is our fleet management system, is it's a centralized place to view all your devices. So our devices, Perl devices specifically, they live at the edge of your network. So that is where you will have your video sources and things coming in, and then they take those in and they put them off your network to somewhere else. Whether that's streaming to YouTube, if you're a church of worship or like events or something like that, or maybe CMS, going to Panopto, they live at the edge of your network and then they deliver that elsewhere. When you're looking at large fleets, we have universities have 300 devices, 400 devices. You need a way to manage those efficiently, and if you don't have an interface to do that with, you're spending way too much time going device by device, room by room. You can do it all in one place with Edge, which is really the feature set of what makes it
And that
valuable.
place could be on-prem, but it could also be from home.
Other side of the world if you wanted to
from
be.
somewhere else in the world.
Yeah.
We do see a lot of customers and users who have offices in different locations or studios in different locations, or maybe you're a campus that has, a main campus and other campuses in different regions.
Yep.
This really brings everything together into a single pane of glass.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've even seen it where larger events companies, maybe they have multiple techs at a large event, and those techs are dedicated to certain devices. Well, there's the things we'll get to later, but there's things in Edge called teams. So you could have certain devices paired to certain teams, and those certain techs access to those things. And so then you can have basically, monitored and access for specific people, specific devices, and one owner could have access to all of it. So it just makes things nice and easy. It can be offered as a service or as a forward-facing UI to a user.
Amazing. So I want to get into kind of a little bit of a tour of the Edge platform.
Let's do it.
But just to kind of kick things off, like this platform is designed to be user-facing, right?
Yes. Yep.
So, as an administrator, you can certainly use this to administrate all your devices, but even for that end user who maybe doesn't have the technical prowess,
Yep.
you just want to give them a way to start a recording, start a stream, or manage their basic basic usability of their rooms and their devices. This is a great way to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So if we look at it from the top down, this is Epiphan Edge, and we have a bunch of devices paired to this one team. So if we open them up, we can see all these different devices. Now this could be your rooms. This could be your place on campus. This could be those separate places at an event or something like that. And then those can all be organized into groups, and so you can easily switch between them and be able to see things at a
So
glance.
it looks like you've got what on this Edge team you've got about 18
devices.
pearls?
18
Can you just
devices.
open up some of the
Yeah.
So each of these tick down is like a room or a group that you've
Yeah,
created, right?
for sure.
So like within higher ed, we can see some different classrooms and auditoriums,
Absolutely. Yeah, we
Right.
can open all these up.
all kinds, and we're getting what are those preview images of
Channels.
of those channels
Yeah.
on those devices, right?
Yeah, but you could click into them and you can see more things about a device. This is our studio device actually running this, but you can see each individual channel.
Can you just show me that again? So
yeah.
this is the Pearl 2 that's actually operating this
Yes.
this broadcast right now.
Yeah,
right?
for
So
sure.
What do we have here? How many channels do we have running on this Pearl?
So it looks like we have 5 channels running. So those are ISOs as well as our program output.
Okay, cool. So our program, that's like our switch program, like we're doing switching right here. Maybe I can, if I want to switch back to this camera, I'm doing this on the Stream Deck, of course.
Yep.
But if we go back to, let's see, what do we have here? We've got like another camera showing
We have
our
another camera
desk.
above us here, so yeah.
We'll go back to this. There, we got us
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. And so there's more things here. We're going to dig into each one of these a little bit later, but you can look at what's happening on each one of these inputs here.
So these are like the physical inputs on
Yeah.
the Pearl 2?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
So we can see, like, what can we see here on this?
Yeah, so we can see we have HDMI connected here, the other HDMI inputs on the Pearl device. We see we have an NDI source connected in addition to some audio. So you can see the audio coming in, you can see the audio here, and as well as just gives you confidence of the resolution in addition to the frame rate and things like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then these last things we're really going to touch on later, but we can look at events, presets, and recordings within the cloud as
And
well.
those are all different features that can help really optimize and streamline your workflow as much as possible, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's, once you get to scale, it's all about doing things efficiently,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You can imagine if you have, like us, 20 devices, but in many cases hundreds of devices, if you have to be constantly configuring each of those devices individually,
Yeah.
that just doesn't scale.
No, it doesn't, especially for initial deployments too. If you have 300 devices, you want to set one up and maybe apply a configuration across all of them in one go. That way you're not duplicating your work.
But this can also be super useful even if you have one device or two,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Can you tell me a bit more about the groups? Because I see you've got some like different ways that you've categorized these devices.
Yeah.
Tell us how groups work and what that's all about.
Yeah, so groups is effectively a way to categorize devices and to sort them. So, in this case, we have different use cases, government, higher ed, things like that. So if I only wanted to see, say this is Auditorium 1 or something. I could click on this, and then I'd see all the devices that I have paired into that group. You can move devices around the different groups if you want. It's not like a set in stone thing. And so it just makes it a lot easier to manage.
Like I could imagine on a campus, if you have different buildings on that campus and you want to organize your classrooms by
Yeah.
what building they're in.
Yeah.
Or maybe if it's a live event and you've got some different, whether it's a main stage or a breakout room, you could really organize your fleet quite efficiently by
Absolutely.
using those groups. Right?
Yeah, and creating a group is really easy. You just go here, create a new group, create your group right there. It'll pop up over here, and then then that's it.
Is there any limit to how many groups or how many devices I can have on my account?
I don't think so. No, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we have some clients that have hundreds and hundreds of devices. I think we even have one that's close to 900 or something
Wow.
like that because they have all these offline devices and things like that because they have all these devices they use in the field. And so, as far as I know, there really isn't a limit. But typically, like we've seen up to running all at one time, 400 devices, not a problem at all.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Is there any more details we can see here? I know there's like a detailed
Yes.
view? Can you show us what this is all about?
Yeah, so what we've been looking at here is kind of the basic view that you can have for all your devices that you have paired up. But if you click detail view, you get a few more things like firmware version. You get, let me know if it's up to date, how long it's been on for. You see this device has been on for 104 days. And it just gives you a nice view of everything. You can copy paste serial number, IP address,
Looks
things
like
like
I can
that.
see the type of device, right? That's a Pearl 2.
Absolutely, yep.
And then it gives you the local IP as well, right?
Yeah. So if you need to get into it locally, you could do that as well. Copy that, click that, copy in the URL field, and then you can
Very nice.
log in that way. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and that's actually a good little segue is that in addition to that, there is the switcher and admin login button here. So that's what allows you to actually get into the back end of it. You click the admin login, you get in, or if you want to get into switcher, you click the switcher button, and it's a way to get from cloud, from anywhere you are, into the device and start configuring or running your production.
That's great because traditionally, you had to be on the same network as your AV devices.
Yes. Yep.
To be able to configure them, get into that user manage or the admin management dashboard.
Absolutely.
But here we have a way to administrate and get into the back end of the devices from anywhere.
You just need a port 443 open for HTTPS connection, and you're good to go.
Okay, and I'm sure we'll talk about Teams a bit more, but you could we can have different sort of admin levels, right? Like if I don't want someone to be able to change any settings on my device, can I lock it down?
Yeah, you can. So if we're looking at changing the admin or operator type authentication, then you can, in Teams, we'll talk about it a little bit later, I believe.
Yeah.
You can assign people for operators. Maybe we'll take a very quick look at it. And so you could assign someone to be an operator of a team. And then if they try to log into the device, they can only do the things that operators can do, which is usually non-destructive type things.
So like starting, a user would be able to start and stop and
Yep.
check to make sure that they've got their feeds.
Yep.
But they're not going to be going into the back end settings of the device.
No, they'd be able to see it, but they wouldn't be able to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Okay, well that's a great start and kind of a nice overview. But I think we wanted to sort of demonstrate how to actually
Yeah, let's do it.
pair a device onto Epiphan Edge, and we've got a Pearl Mini running here in the studio, and we've just kind of simulated a podcast setup here.
Yep.
So you can see on my Pearl Mini device, we're running 3 channels on this. We've got a program channel, and then we've got 2 ISOs that we've got lined up as well. And even within our program channel, we can do some layout switching. We've got a few different layouts here. But right now, this device is just configured locally, right? Yep. So this is not connected to an Edge account in any way.
Nope.
So maybe Ryan, you could give us a little bit more of a demonstration of hey, if I want to pair this device to my Edge account, how would I do that?
Absolutely. So there's the important note. There's a couple ways of doing it. You could pair it in the admin interface. There's a little click to pair button in the web UI. You can use the pairing code, which we're going to use today. Right here, it gives you a pairing code. In addition, you can use USB pairing. So what that means is that you can actually download a file from Epiphan Edge, and I'll show you that in a moment. And you can put that on a USB. And this is really good for large deployments because then you can just literally take that USB, pop it in the front of those units as long as they're connected to an internet-connected network, and then you can pair them up one at a time all the way across rather than getting pairing code, typing here, pairing code, typing here. It's much more efficient for larger deployments.
Oh, sure. I guess, yeah. Like if you have 30 devices and you're going to install them all in 1 week,
do the USB.
You don't want to be messing with pairing codes. You just pop that USB stick into the front USB, and you're good to go. It just pairs it up automatically.
Yep. An important distinction here too is that we have an EU version of our Epiphan Cloud. So that means that we have an option for you to go into the settings, choose the EU server, and then so you can have your devices in an EU server, which is really important to our European clients.
Yeah. That's really cool. That makes sense. Okay, well let's keep moving here. Let's get this. So let's get this thing paired up.
This one. Yep. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take that pairing code and we're going to pair it into this Epiphan Cloud account. So we'll click Pair Device, and you can see this is that Get Pairing file I was talking about. Download that, put that on a USB, you'll be good to go. So we'll take the pairing code here, which is 30966ED4. And then you'll get a validation the pairing code is correct. You give it a name. We'll call this Studio Pearl Mini. And then this is where that group comes in. Now you can select the group you want to go to, or you can create a group right from the start here if you wanted to, if this is the first time. We're going to put it into the Epiphan group and press Pair Device. So in a few moments, it'll come in here. You'll see device info pop up. You'll see things like network, it'll come up, what's going on, the channels, there they come.
And I can see here on my screen it says, like,
Yes, you
how
can
do I
go
go
back
to
to
that?
Yep.
Saying this device is paired as Studio Pearl Mini to Team Epiphan Showcase. So that's the team we
Absolutely.
paired it to, right?
And then you can see it's here as well. If we go back to my screen, we can see here is that Pearl Mini device right here. And you can even see if we go back to the to that channel view that Dan was looking at, you can see the channels, the program camera presentation, and there it is here, the program camera presentation as well.
Okay, so now that we've got it paired up, maybe we want to start recording right away. Can you trigger those recordings?
Absolutely. So I could do it right from here, kind of like one by one if I wanted to. But what I could also do is I could select this Pearl device, and I could start all recordings at one time by just clicking this button right here.
Whoops, I switched the wrong layout.
Oh,
Can
that's
you-
okay.
Let's see,
This
whoops.
one right here.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. There we go. And see, now it's recording, and if we look at the actual device now, you can see that all those little red
Oh, yeah.
dots are going off there as soon as the front. And so we've controlled this device.
Got the LED here indicating.
Yep.
So really, from pairing this device to recording,
Yeah.
trigger from the cloud, that took us like 1 minute.
Oh, yeah, or less, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's pretty quick to get that up and running.
For sure. Yeah, and then we can stop it all here by pressing stop the same way we started it. These will stop, and then we'll see the little recording lights on the unit will go off too. And
Okay,
that'll go
yeah,
off soon,
there.
too.
Recording complete.
Yep.
Amazing. Great. So once you pair up a device, like what would you recommend is some of the first things that you do once you've got it paired up?
So once you pair your device or devices, I would recommend checking the firmware version. All devices that come out should have a firmware version that is compatible with Epiphan Edge. But chances are it might not be the most up-to-date. It may be a couple versions behind. So always make sure that you check the firmware version. In this case, 4.241 is available. If you go on our website, you can see which version is current, and then just update your devices. You can see it there, or you can also see it here. And that's
And you can
kinda how do
update
it.
your firmware through the cloud as well, right? Like,
Oh,
can
yeah,
I,
yeah.
Can I apply a firmware update to all the devices across my fleet?
Absolutely. So if you press the devices online here, it would select every single device. If there was a firmware update available, so if we click this device here, let's say, you'd see a button down here pop up and it'd say update firmware. Oh yeah, let's go back to
Go to that and move that here.
There you go.
Okay.
You'd see
bottom right.
bottom right down here. You'd see a button that says update firmware, and then it would follow the prompts, and you would update all the firmware across all the devices in one shot. Every time a firmware comes up, we update all these with one go. Super convenient. Just make sure your device is registered. You'll see that in the web UI.
Very cool. I've heard horror stories of, on campuses, for example, when they have to go and update firmware on
Yeah.
some of their, lectern
Sure.
AV equipment, and it's like, it's a major operation, right? Because you need some boots on the ground to go do that. So
Yep.
this is nice, and I think with the Epiphan firmware updates, usually it's new features that you're getting. So you don't
Yep.
want to miss out on those firmware updates.
Yep.
Not only is it going to give quality of life improvements,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
bug fixes if there are any.
Yep.
They also add functionality, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
typically you want to be on the latest firmware if you can.
Absolutely. Always best to be on the latest firmware, especially with cloud. It's just best practice. So that's what I recommend for sure.
Amazing. Okay, I'm just going to check in on chat, and I still see lots of activity here in chat. We've got more people trickling in from everywhere from Nigeria to Detroit to Edinburgh. Nice, love that city. Boston, all over the place. So thanks for being here. If you guys have questions, fire them into the Q&A, and we'll make sure to get to all of your questions. Doesn't have to be super on topic either. If you just
No.
have Pearl questions or Epiphan questions,
Yep.
or any Pro AV related topics you want to chime in on,
Happy to help.
don't hesitate.
Cool.
Okay, let's keep this thing moving. So Ryan, we showed how to pair a device, get it onto your Edge dashboard. But how can we make life easier? How can I sleep better at night? What can we do to
Automate everything.
automate? Yeah. What can we automate? How can we streamline that
Yeah.
workflow using this dashboard?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll go back to the laptop here, and we want this one instead.
Just squeeze in a bit. You're
Yeah,
a little
off
far
frame
over
there. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So so there's a few things we can do to automate on a Pearl device in Edge. The main thing is scheduling. It's super easy to set up. So if we click on a Pearl device here and we go to Events, we can see that this device doesn't have CMS turned on, which is Content Management System. If we just click Epiphan Edge here, what this allows us to do is then control recording and streaming via Epiphan Edge. So if we click this, we follow the prompts, press Enable, a few moments, this will change around. And then now we can start scheduling events. So let's say we, for a podcast, we wanted to, have an event that was going to happen every day at a certain time. So we could go, podcast, podcast. And then we can go repeat events, and we have a few options for that. So in this case, we're going to do daily, but it could be weekly. Then we can go to, maybe on, and we can stop this scheduled event or this schedule on the 31st of this month. Let's say we're doing something just for the end of July. By default, all the work channels will be recorded. If you had 1, 2, or 3, or whatever, they'll be automatically selected. But then you can add your streaming destination. So let's say if we're going to, I think YouTube event is the correct one here.
Yeah. That's one of our YouTube channels.
So if we click here, and then that basically adds the destination in here, and then we just press create. And then it's going to create events every day for the time I specified, which was an hour from now, and we can see that in our calendar. And then we get a nice little calendar view here too. And the really cool thing here is if we press schedule, we can actually see the events for every single device that's on this team. So we have other devices here that have events scheduled. And
Go to the calendar view on this one. I'm just curious to see what that looks. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you can see it here, and you can see what's actually happening, what events are actually going to be running, what event is actually running right now, things like that. So and we that's how we started this event, was all via scheduling.
Yeah, we didn't have to. We knew that this webinar was going live at such and such a time, so it's nice to just kind of be hands-free and rest assured that it's going to start on its own.
Absolutely. We can automate the start and recording and streaming on Pearl just like this, super simple and easy. And you can monitor every single device that has schedules on it. And very briefly, if you were on Panopto, all your schedule will be seen here for each device as well.
Okay, so that's an interesting stipulation is that Ryan mentioned Panopto. For people who aren't familiar, Panopto is a content management system.
Yeah, I should say Kaltura Open. It's
There's
all the same.
Kaltura as well.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a bunch of content management systems that integrate with Pearls.
Yeah.
But you can do your scheduling using your content management system if you prefer as well.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
So this is just another option with Epiphan Edge to do your scheduling right in Epiphan.
Yep, you just, with CMS it'd be from there, we'd see it here, but we can schedule from here for our Edge events, which is what we did today.
So that's nice. I could imagine like a house of worship. They know that their session is happening every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Okay, let's just lock and load that for the next 3 months and not have to think about it.
Yep, for sure. So I guess what happens if you have an issue during your stream or things like that?
That's a good question. One thing, like once you've automated your workflow, it's nice to be kick back and just relax and know that everything's starting and stopping when it's supposed to. But
what if it doesn't?
Yeah, I want to sleep well at night. I want to be alerted if something goes wrong.
Yes.
So maybe show us, Ryan, a little bit of how alerts work in Epiphan Edge and what that's all about.
Absolutely. So you can be alerted when certain things happen on Pearl devices. So if we click on Manage Alerts here within this team, we can see we have all of our devices here. But we're just interested in the Epiphan devices today. So we see we have a bunch of different alerts we can be notified of. If you hover over these, it'll tell you each one. I'm not going to go through each one of them. But basically, if like your cable's unplugged, IP input disconnects, your device goes offline.
Power failure.
Yeah, things like that.
Maybe my network goes down and I want to know about it.
Absolutely. You can be notified. And then a really nice one we added recently, scheduled events. So if something were to happen that might affect your event, like maybe your network goes down or an input is lost, or your channel has a no signal image or something like that it shouldn't, then if you have scheduled events enabled, then you would get an alert before your event is about to occur saying, hey, something's wrong here, you should check it out. So, and that can be emailed if needed.
Yeah, that's great. So can we do a little test here? Maybe
let's do inputs. Let's do that one. Yeah.
So now we should get an alert if this Studio Pearl Mini, if an input or a signal is missing, right?
Yes. Yep.
Is the idea?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
Let's go and go to this one here.
Okay, I'm gonna unplug. Got this HDMI cable. I think this is the camera coming in to this device.
Yeah, and we'll go back to desk and my laptop here.
And I can see. Let me just check on my layout as well.
So I'm
Yeah,
over here.
I can see now that my my camera's missing here.
Yep, and we can see in the edge we have a HMI is gone. Oh, program has no signal. And we go up here, we can see we have an alert right here saying, oh, this happened. Here's the suggested actions for what you should actually maybe do. This could be emailed to you as well. So if you had this linked up with your ticketing system, it could be emailed to ticketing system and then delegated to your team.
That's really cool. So you have the option of seeing the alerts here in the dashboard or also getting an email.
Yep, exactly.
Nice.
And then you can see the alerts for the entire team here.
Oh, you get
as
an
well.
alert history.
Yep,
Okay,
for sure.
that's fantastic. I'm gonna
Absolutely.
plug this. I'm gonna follow the suggested actions there, and we'll see how well I can plug in an HDMI cable from the wrong side.
Should we enhance and zoom? There we go.
There we go.
There we
Okay.
go. It's like trying to find the HDMI cable behind TV. You're like, where is
Oh
that
yeah,
thing?
they're always a little. Which way does the HDMI go?
Exactly.
That's always fun.
Yeah. So if we go back to the, now we see the image back on the Pearl here, and then if we go to Pearl Mini, now that error is gone. We're all good. Things status green. We
Yeah,
got the go.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Okay, so we've streamlined our workflow by automating starts and stops of streams and records, setting up our events. We're now sleeping well at night because we know that if anything goes wrong with these devices, that we've got our alerts are going to be sent to us right away.
Correct.
But maybe maybe I'm deploying several of these devices.
Yep.
Okay. Imagine I'm setting up, call it 15 classrooms. It's a standardized classroom setup.
Yep.
Can you tell me about how we could use presets to sort of streamline deployment or even configuration of Pearl devices?
Absolutely. So presets, what they are is basically saved settings. Think of like a saved game. You can recall something that is, and then but in this case on other devices. So if we go to my computer
you there.
here, yeah. So if we go to this Pearl device and we press presets, we see we have a bunch already. But if we scroll down here, we can press create preset, and we can name this, Studio Pearl Mini, July 23rd. And then it allows us to create a preset so how the settings are in this device available to apply to other devices. So there's different settings here you can apply or not. So if you didn't want system settings like passwords or network, things like that, you can deselect that in the creation of the preset. So I'm just gonna have everything for this one. So we'll create this. Now that gets saved to the Pearl device.
So that right now you've saved that locally on this Pearl device, right?
And then you just press upload here, and then that actually uploads it to your team presets, which is what all these are. And then so let's say you've already went and you've paired 3 devices, whatever it is, into your Epiphan cloud team. Let's say they're all Pearl Minis, so we select, and you can filter, which is kind of nice, lots of options here. We select Pearl Mini, and then let's just select all the online devices. We can go down here, press apply we need to move this one again. We can go down here and press apply presets. And then where is that guy? Right here.
Right at the bottom there.
So right here, so then we can click this and we could apply it to all of our devices, and then that way you don't need to worry about configuring each one individually. You can do it all with one click essentially.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's great if you have like a standard classroom
Yep.
or a standard setup and you don't want to have to go and configure devices one by one.
Yep.
Just blanket
Yep.
apply your settings across all.
Yep, pair them up, configure one device. If that's kind of the baseline, then you can just configure them all in one go. Kind of a nice thing here too is that if the configuration has certain settings that would require a reboot, it tells you here. Also, let's say you're applying this configuration to a Pearl that's on a different network. Well, we say here, hey, this configuration is network settings. It's going to carry them over from this device. That might not be compatible with your other network. And so maybe what you do is you deselect network when you created the preset.
Got it.
Yeah.
So for example, if I just want to have a preset that is just my layouts for my program or just, my channels,
Yep.
I can just have a preset for that doesn't touch the network, that doesn't touch any of the deeper configuration settings.
That's what we did last webinar when we were changing configurations around. We were just changing channel settings with our configurations, nothing else.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I do see lots of questions flying in. We're going to get to them soon, I promise, but we're just going to finish up with some more of our demonstration here, and then we'll dive into all of those questions. So, okay, we've got our presets, we've deployed our Pearls, they're automated, they're alerted, we've got our alerts set up.
Yep.
Is there some way to manage the recordings or the outputs of these devices? I know that there's some like cloud recording option here. Can you tell me about that?
Funny you ask, we have just that. So if we go to recordings here, we can see all the recordings that have been uploaded to our Edge account. But to set a device up for that, you simply go to the Pearl device. We're going to use our Studio Pearl Mini again. You go to recordings, and then you'll see this here, Epiphan Edge File Management is not selected. So what this is it means that when a recording happens, you can have the device set up to move recordings to our Epiphan Edge platform. With CMS, it goes to Panopto, Kaltura, whatever. But if you want to use our platform, you can. You just click Enable here. You click Enable here as well. The Pearl device is going to configure itself, which is really nice. And then if we just start a recording on this device, so if we
Okay,
go,
I will do that.
yeah,
Maybe I'll go to my top-down camera. I've got my channel set up on a one-button recording, so I'll start.
and we can see it's recording here on the web user interface. And we'll just stop
Okay.
that. Don't need to run it very long.
Okay, I'll stop the recording.
It stops here, and in a few moments,
So that's going to record 3 files, right? Because I've got 3 channels on my device.
and we see them pop into here.
2.
And one more will be in here in a moment. 3.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So this is cloud storage provided by Epiphan.
Yep.
In many cases, people want to use their own storage, right?
For
Maybe
sure.
you want to use S3, maybe you're going to an FTP,
Yep.
maybe you're going right into your content management system like Panopto or Kaltura.
Azure Blob, whatever. Yeah.
But if you do want to use Epiphan cloud storage,
Yep.
we do have that available here.
We do. And you can share it out and everything like that if you want to as well.
Okay,
So, yeah,
so you could share that link and someone else can download.
Absolutely.
And that's downloading right from the cloud, right?
that is correct. Yep,
Amazing.
for sure.
Okay, that's a nice, nice feature.
Okay.
All right, what do we have left? There's a couple more things we wanted to discuss.
Teams and roles.
Teams and roles. I think we did kind of touch on that a little bit, but
Yeah.
really the central thing here is that you can have different teams, right? Different
Yes.
Epiphan cloud teams.
Yep.
They'd have different devices in them, right?
Yep. Yep. So we've seen them used in multiple ways. We kind of touched on it in a few ways you might use it. Maybe you want certain device to be paired to those teams. Maybe you want to control who has access to certain devices. I've seen it used as a service as well. So say you're an AV company and you're offering remote services to your clients. Well, you could own Epiphan Cloud Teams. You could pair your client's device to that team, invite them to that team, and then you have full access from wherever you are. So they call you up and say, "Oh, my stream isn't working." Okay, cool. You go on Edge, you log into the device, and you fix it for them
Yeah.
without needing to get in your car or whatever it is and drive,
yeah.
to
A great way to mobily support
Absolutely.
your customers,
Yep,
right?
for sure. Yep.
Great, and then we discussed roles. That's awesome.
Yep. The only other thing is just that if you really wanted to, you could, if you own a team, you could transfer the ownership to someone else who is an admin on that team.
Okay, Google.
Okay, Google. Just
Ryan's phone. Is that Siri or is that who is that?
that would be Gemini. I'm just gonna
okay.
put myself on airplane mode now. That would be a good
Well,
idea.
hopefully Gemini's been listening to this whole thing,
Yeah.
and then we can get some kind of analysis after the fact. Okay, cool. What else do we want to show? Demonstrate in. Oh, do we want to? We kind of looked at inputs. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to show, which I thought is a super cool feature here.
Yeah. So we'll
So
go.
maybe we'll go to my screen. Okay.
I'll just do the whole screen there.
Cool. Okay, so let me see. I've got my cloud here, and we got lots of devices down here. Which one should I? Maybe I'll just use this Pearl that's running this webinar right now. So one of the buttons you'll see here, Ryan mentioned the admin login. That's the back end of the device, but we also get a switcher button. Okay, so when you click the switcher button, it's going to open a tab that looks like this. And in our case, for this webinar, this is all of the layouts that we've created for this webinar. So if we wanted to switch back to our main camera feed, there we go. We've got our top down, and you can have as many layouts as you want on a Pearl, really. Like
Yeah, we have a little bit of recommendation, like 16 Pearl Mini, 32 or more for Pearl 2. But like, yeah, that's you could in theory have as many as you want.
so. This is just super cool because I'm able to switch my program remotely from the cloud.
Yep.
Could be handy if you're producing a webinar.
Yep.
Maybe I see in a lot of cases it's like an event where they just need basic switching, where maybe there's like a pre-roll title card. I mean, you guys saw the pre-roll before this event. But
Yep.
sometimes you just need that title frame at the beginning of your event, and you're only going to do 1 or 2 switches, but you know you can do it right here. So how many layouts do we have here? We've got maybe 10, something like that. 4, 8, 12 layouts. So that's nice. Just, you know, I can remember years ago wishing that something like this existed so that I can run a show remotely, but here it is now.
Yeah.
And I should mention as well, like I'm doing this on my program channel, which you see right here, but if you have other channels, you could be opening the switcher for more than one channel at a time if you want to.
As long as that channel has more than one layout, then you'll be able to select it there. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, maybe just do one more switch because I think I was maybe on the wrong camera view there for a moment.
Okay.
So you can see if Dan does a switch here, then it goes live here. And if we switch back to Dan's computer, then you see it'll come back. So
There we go. We're back on this view again. I'll just go to what's my view that has both of us.
there it is.
There we go.
Just a one.
Cool. Very nice. That's pretty quick. It's it's very snappy to do your switching here right through the cloud. So I love this feature. I think it's super powerful.
Yeah, we've used it for trade shows, like when we've had our producer in another country producing our events, right? So it's really great.
Okay. So I think we've covered a lot here.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share, Ryan, in Epiphan Edge that people should be aware of?
We pretty much covered most things here. As far as
Is there like status health or anything like that of the devices to check?
yeah, that's a good point. So if we do click on a device, we can see the status of these devices here. We can see different
You
things.
see the uptime, system load.
Exactly, and then just basically things that you might want to know.
It's nice to know sometimes you've got this installed in a rack. Oh,
Yeah.
geez, I'm running at 80 degrees.
Yeah. What's going on?
Maybe
Yeah.
you need to check your ventilation in your rack or something like that.
Yep, for
So
sure.
this is great.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. One other thing I wanted to ask you about here.
Yeah.
Streaming destinations. Because a lot of people are managing a
Yep.
whole bunch of different stream keys,
Yep,
right?
yep.
I've got my YouTube stream key. I've got 3 YouTube channels. I've got my Vimeo.
Yep.
Maybe I'm sending SRT streams somewhere.
Yep.
Is there a way that I can manage all of that here?
Yeah, so for RTMP streams, right now you can manage them all within Cloud, and that's what you see when you click here, Stream Destinations. These are all RTMP destinations we've added into Epiphan Cloud or Epiphan Edge here.
Cool.
And you can do that by just pressing Stream Destinations and press RTMP and then add it in. And then it becomes available for the entire
Fleet of
team.
devices.
Exactly.
Okay.
Same thing for configure presets here. You go
So
here,
if
you see them all.
we've got like a few different streaming destinations, like content delivery networks that we're always pushing to,
Yeah.
it's nice to have that on the Edge dashboard, because then I don't have to enter those stream keys into each and every device.
That's right.
I can just select it from the drop-down menu, right?
Yep, but if you did have them selected and you say you went to a channel here, went to this program channel, you can see your other streaming destinations that are on the device and they're available to start.
Yeah, nice. So those stream device to destinate. So this is the Pearl running this event. We're streaming to 2 destinations. We're streaming into Wistia, where everyone's watching this.
Yep,
But we also have our YouTube sort of backup
absolutely.
stream happening at the same time.
And maybe we just do one more thing here. We'll go to full frame here, and then we'll do there it
Maybe
is.
there.
Yep. So another great feature here is you can actually monitor with a full frame rate preview of what's happening
Cool.
in that stream as well. So I just started the full frame rate here, and then now we're running. So if we go back to Zcam, it'll switch in a moment, and then you'll see on my screen here. It's a little bit delayed, of
Well, we
course.
can't
because
see your
it's-
screen now. We got to go back.
Oh right, that's true.
There we go.
Oh my God.
Okay, but basically we're seeing the live feed, right?
Yep, for sure.
There's a little bit of latency there, of course, but
It's an HLS stream, so it's there for confidence monitoring, right? That's what it's meant for.
I've heard from a lot of folks that this is something they love, right? Because sometimes you may not necessarily be needing to produce an event remotely or manage something that's happening, but you just want to check what's happening in that room.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I'm on a campus. Hey, is class happening right now?
Yeah.
Can I just open up that stream and see what's happening in that room?
Exactly.
It almost becomes like a room monitoring system
Yep.
in some respect, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
That's great. Okay.
That's kind of That's
Nice.
kind of the whole cake.
Well, that's a great tour, Ryan. Thanks for all that. Now, we do have a bunch of questions that have flooded in, so maybe we can dip into the Q&A here, and if there's anything else you guys want to know, don't hesitate
Let's
to
do
jump into the Q&A. So,
I'm ready.
Blake said, actually, well, we'll start at the top here. We'll start from the first questions that came in. We'll get to you, Blake. I'm sorry, the name is cut off here, but I can say, is there any license needed to add Pearl devices to Edge? Perfect question, and glad you asked that. So, Epiphan Edge is completely free, but we have 2 tiers of access. So maybe why don't you go to my screen there, Ryan? I think it's this one.
There we
Okay,
go.
there we go. So the free tier of Epiphan Edge, that's going to include the dashboard. You can monitor all your channels, and you can start and stop your recordings and streams.
Absolutely. Yep.
The premium features in Epiphan Edge are things like the switcher,
Yep.
admin login, so being able to configure your devices remotely.
Yep.
The scheduling is a premium feature.
Yep.
And then what else? Like the emailed alerts is a
Yes.
premium feature.
Batch actions, things like that. So if you want to if you want to do things across multiple devices at a time, that is part of premium. But a good distinction here is that the layout switching and things like that, or even the alerts, you don't get email alerts, but you still get those alerts in the dashboard. You still know when something happens. You just don't get emailed about it. And then on the local device, you still have access to the switcher. You just don't have access to getting to the switcher via cloud. So there's a distinction there as well.
Yeah,
But
looks like presets is a part of the premium
Yep.
feature as well.
for sure.
But I gotta say, like even at the free tier, of being able to start and stop your recordings and streams and
Yeah, yeah.
check your channels on your devices alone is a great, even at the free tier, is a great
For sure.
is a great baseline. So if you do need those advanced features, it's about $20 a month, something
Yep,
like that. I think
yep.
we have a slight discount if you pay annually.
Yeah, and we have an unlimited license as well. Once you get to a certain amount of devices, then it's just one flat fee. So
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. Okay, well, I'm glad we touched on that, and thank you for the question. Opara, Steven, can you stream to a YouTube channel with different video sources from 2 different courtrooms in the same building?
The same YouTube channel. Well, sorry, here's a good distinction here. You could stream to 2 different events in the same YouTube channel, no problem. But you cannot stream from 2 devices to 1 event at the same time because they would share a stream key, which is not allowed by YouTube. It's one kind of like handshake between one other place. You can't have another hand in there and shake the hand at the same time.
Right.
So yes, 2 different events in YouTube, absolutely possible, just not to the same event, the composite together or something like that. Yeah.
But I think to answer Opara's question, yes,
Yep.
you can definitely stream
Yep,
any of the feeds coming into your Pearl to wherever you want them to go.
absolutely you can.
Because Pearl, with a Pearl Mini that we have here, there's 3 channels. So you could be streaming 3 things to 3 different destinations, or you could be streaming 3 things to multiple different destinations.
Yep,
Right?
yep, for sure.
As long as you've got the bandwidth, right?
Right. The bandwidth is almost always the limiting factor, so
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. Hope that answers your question, Opara. Okay, we've got a question coming in from Elaine. And Elaine asks, if you bulk update firmware, will it stop from doing so on any machines that are currently recording?
That is a great feature request. So if you were to update firmware, you do get asked, do you want to do this? But if you do, it's going to update firmware, it's going to reboot. So I would suggest waiting until a time when the devices are not active to do it. for
After
sure.
hours, overnight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait till midnight if you're going to do.
Yep.
I would also suggest that, apply your firmware update to one device, validate it for yourself before you apply it to your entire fleet.
For sure.
We obviously do a lot of Q&A, but in your specific scenario, if you are managing many rooms, it's always a good idea to test one. And we offer beta firmware as well. If you want to test our firmware updates in advance of them going public, we can set you up with that as well.
Sure.
Okay, question here from Darren Lay. We're testing multiple inputs to a Pearl recorder and reaching a CPU limit. Any solutions?
Depends on the inputs, depends on the frame rate and things coming in. If we're looking at IP inputs, those are more resource intensive. I'd recommend reaching out to support@epiphan.com. That way we can actually dig into it a little bit more. But generally, if you're having 260 frame rate, 1080p NDI sources coming to Pearl Mini, that's a lot for a Pearl Mini. we would recommend 1080p 30 inputs on the Pearl Mini, and then you could do like 2 or 3. That should be fine.
Yeah.
So it really depends on configuration. We provide these with a lot of tools to do a lot of things, and so we don't really put you in a box. So it's possible to over-configure our devices. So sometimes you just need to make sure we're configuring it within the limits we suggest.
Yeah. I would also ask Darren if, are you integrated with any control systems?
Yeah.
Because I have seen some issues where sometimes your control system is pinging,
Pull.
is
Yeah.
pulling the Pearl like every second,
Yeah.
and that can hit the processor on your Pearl as well.
Depends on what you're pulling. If say you're pulling a bunch of like images from it, then then it has to encode those images, send it over. If you're doing that like a whole bunch in a short amount of time, that does add CPU load, or if you have a lot of commands coming in. So for sure.
Yeah, so rule of thumb, Pearl Mini, 3 inputs, give or take.
3 inputs, give or take, 3 channels.
Pearl 2, 6 inputs,
Yep.
give or take.
Yep, for sure.
And then we've got something like this little guy here, Pearl Nano, that's a 2-input device, right?
Yep, to input 1 channel though, so no switching or anything like that,
Yeah.
for sure. Yep.
So, yeah, hopefully that helps, Darren. If you're having issues still, just reach out. To
Yeah.
Ryan will be the guy you're talking to. Support at epifan.com, and we'll be happy to help you
Yeah,
out.
we'll get you going for sure.
Okay, Nathan, when recording, does the Pearl 2 have a rolling record, or will it stop automatically when it's out of space?
It's a loop recorder. So if you start running out of space, and actually we have a setting in the default for the recordings part of it, is that you get to specify those thresholds. So let's say you want to have all your recorded 16 gigabytes and a time limit of, say, unlimited. Then the Pearl recorder will always start to move the recording data into a new container once that limit is reached. But say you were doing that and you reach the file system storage limit, then we just start overriding the oldest recording. So you're always going to be able to record the newest content, guaranteed.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about Pearl is I know when I hit record, it's getting recorded, right?
Absolutely. If it says it's recording, it's recording.
If the light is red, it is recording.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about the hard drive filling up because it's always going to replace the old. And with something like, even a Pearl Nano, it's a terabyte.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at HD video,
It's a
H.264,
lot.
we're talking about hundreds of hours.
Mm-hmm.
So in most cases, you would expect that you've already downloaded your recordings or they've transferred automatically to your final storage destination well before you have to worry about recording those old files. I kind of think of it like my PVR at home.
Sure.
I'm not too worried that like that episode of Lost from 10 years ago is getting recorded over.
I was going to say Survivor.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I used Lost. I didn't even watch that show, but I know a lot of people did. But that's the same idea.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the question, Nathan. So, Marcial Perez, how about dealing with proxy security? I'm not able to connect my Pearl to Edge because of it. Is there some other way it can be doing it?
That is a very involved question. It will come down to your IT team for sure. They may need to whitelist our fully qualified domains. We do have a few URLs that you could do that for, and that might help. So for more specific information on that, reach out to support@epifan.com. That's far too technical to talk about in the webinar.
Okay. But it sounds like there could be a path to success there.
Yeah, it will come down to the IT team. We've had other people with proxy stuff before. You can't point Pearl to a proxy, so sometimes you have to basically route it that way through the proxy. But we also have dual NIC with a routing table now as well, and so that might help additionally. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I know generally speaking, in my experience, that Edge is very firewall friendly for the most part, right? Because a lot of it is outbound traffic, right?
Yeah. Basically, everything's 443. It's all going to be encrypted. Generally, there's a couple of URLs that do help in cases where a firewall maybe is a little more aggressive, and we're more than happy to share those. You can even find those actually in our manual. If you just go to any of our manuals, type in ports in the search, you'll see the URLs at the bottom of that page.
Awesome. Another question here from Elaine. This is a good question as well. Can you go over scheduling repeating events or even moving scheduled recordings from one Pearl to another? And does it get overwritten by Panopto schedule?
Well, you wouldn't be able to schedule events in Edge if you were linked to Panopto.
Yeah. So maybe we should explain that a bit.
Yeah.
Epiphan Edge scheduling is one scheduling option, but if you're using a content management system like Kaltura or Panopto, it is going to supersede. It's going to
Yes.
supersede that Edge scheduling.
Yeah, you can't do Edge scheduling and Panopto or Kaltura at the same time, because Edge will be your CMS or whatever else will be your CMS, not the same.
Right. That hopefully answers that question. Moving a scheduled event from one Perl to another, I don't know if that's possible, is it?
No, we can't do that right now. I know in Panopto and other places you can do that, which is very convenient, and I think that'd be a nice thing for us to have too.
Okay. Well, that might be a nice note for us for
Yes.
future firmware update.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for the question, Elaine. If we can help you more with your scheduling, don't hesitate to reach out. Blake, and finally we got to Blake. I work in live events. If a coworker added an Epiphan to their own Edge cloud account for a different show, will that prevent me from adding the device into my own Edge cloud account?
Correct. Think of it as, let's say you had one device and you paired it to, let's say theoretically you could pair it to 2 teams. You're on that device, you're running your event, but then unbeknownst to you, someone else comes and starts changing your settings. That's not going to work. And so we make sure that one device can be paired to one team, and that's where it is. If you wanted to move that device to another team, you could unpair it and pair it to another one. Also, configuration presets, if applied from the device itself, can have Edge pairing codes in that configuration preset, and so you can swap a device between teams.
Okay, so that would be a quick and easy way to just flip a Perl from, if you're renting out your Perl maybe, if you're working in live events.
Yep.
Keep a configuration preset handy with your pairing code.
Yep.
And then it's easy to flip it back to the other team
Yep.
with a button press kind of thing.
Yep, we actually do that on some of our
I
QA
think
stuff.
we've got presets right here. Where's the desk? There it is. So yeah, even right here on the.
We'll just back.
Oh, whoops!
Pages. Yep.
I'm on the wrong.
No, you're on the right one. Just right here.
Well, I just wanted to put this big.
Oh, okay, desk.
There we go. Yeah, so configuration you can apply them right here from the touchscreen, right?
Yeah.
So that might be a nice workaround for you. The other thing I would suggest is just, if you have clients who are using your Perls, ask them to add you to their team as well.
Yep.
It might be good to just have one another as member of each other's teams if you're sharing Perls back and forth.
For sure, and you can add as many admins or operators as you'd like, and maybe we just go to my screen really quick here. If we go into again my team, we can just enter an email in here, choose their role, and then send the invite. They'll get an email, and then you'll be able to add people in. People can add you as well. So if they own a team that want to add you, they can add you the same way.
Yeah, I think I'm a member of probably 14 different Perl teams.
Yes.
A bunch of our customers have added me to their Perl teams, and it's fun sometimes just to see what their Perls are doing and they're working on. We have, for instance, Jeremy Prudhomme. He has a whole bunch of podcast studios, and he added me as an admin on his podcast studios. So, when he needs help, I can jump in and help him with one of his podcast studios or see what's happening. Is the studio booked today? Oh, I can just go check.
Absolutely.
And see what's happening in that studio.
Yep.
Okay. Question here from Nathan. Is there an easy way to input your stream key if it continually changes, but your RTMP does not?
So so you can, let me just, 1 second here.
I think we showed this a little bit already.
So what you can do, so we'll go back to my screen. So let's say you added I should probably, it's okay. We'll just remove that after. So this is a stream key here. And so what you could do is you could actually change the settings of it, and then you'll be able to effectively
Plop in a new
stream key and things like that. For sure.
I think it's just managing them from this streaming destinations dashboard, really.
For sure.
It seems pretty straightforward.
Absolutely. So you just change out your stream key that you see in the stream field, and then you'll be able to swap it out,
Yeah.
or on the device itself. So you don't need to change your URL.
The RTMP destination isn't changing, but the key does.
Yeah, it does. In some cases, there are platforms that offer persistent stream key, which in that case it never changes.
Yeah.
Or it should never change unless they make some kind of change.
Yeah. Amber here, can we avoid the not enough free storage space message by lowering the threshold for overwriting to create enough space?
That is another feature request we have, and I understand that one. And Basically, I think what the ask is that we want to make sure that we're maybe not getting that error because
Right, right.
we're deleting the old recordings anyways.
Yeah.
I think
It's kind of like a false error, really.
yeah, I mean, we keep it there because you should know that when we're deleting stuff, but also if your main use case is just to let this Perl rock and you don't manage your storage, then it could be a little bit of annoyance. So yeah.
Another thing you can do is you can set up so when you use that automatic file transfer, it's going to delete the file from the Perl once that transfer has completed.
Yep.
So that would just be another alternative way to manage the storage on your devices. Just say, hey, once that transfer's happened, go ahead and delete those. I don't need them on my Perl anymore.
Yep.
You would not run into the free storage
Yep.
indicator if that was the case, right?
You can do that with like regular automatic file upload destinations. With CMS, you can't change that. So that would be the only distinction there. So I think, and maybe it is for Panopto Kaltura or whatnot. Maybe that's where that question is coming from. We do have a feature request for that.
Okay, nice. Okay, thanks for the question, Amber. Ian has a question. Do you know if these devices support SNMP?
No, we do not.
What is SNMP? Are you familiar with that?
I cannot remember off the top of my head right now.
Ian, can you let us know in chat what is SNMP? I'm curious. You stumped us.
Oh yes, no,
Simple network management protocol?
we don't support this right now.
Okay.
Yes. No. Again, we have feature requests for this as well. So no, we don't support that right now. We've had a couple other requests for like system log type access too. So something that we would like to bring out, but is not compatible right now.
Okay, cool. So Stacy has a question, and this is a good question because this is related to the list of items that was included in the premium tier. She wants to know what's the difference between live video monitoring and channel and input monitoring. So maybe I just show that on the screen here. Well, you want to show it, Ryan?
Yeah, I'll show it. So we'll go back here to. Let's go.
Okay, so channel and input monitoring, and this is the free feature, right? This is you don't need the paid tier.
Yep.
It's this, right?
Yep.
It's being able to see. Now, live monitoring is what Ryan's about to click.
Yep. And so this effectively creates a stream from the Perl device and streams it up to the your cloud account right here,
Right.
and so you can see it.
So now we're getting a live feed instead of just the preview thumbnail.
That's right,
So
for sure.
preview thumbnail, totally free feature on the free tier of cloud.
Yep.
But this fully live is
Yeah,
that's a premium tier feature to get that live feed full frame rate.
for sure. And then when we're looking at inputs here, these are just snapshots, little pictures of those inputs as they come in. And so that's why.
So those refresh like every time you reload or every 10 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the interval. It's some interval, and they'll just refresh as we go. The cool thing is the audio is always it's
real time.
It's real time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Stacy, and good question there. Lathair, does my laptop or PC need to be running on the same network IP to access the Perl interface?
So yes and no. So if we don't have our Perl device paired to Epiphan Edge, then you would need to be on the same network. If you have it paired to Epiphan Edge, then you could see your device there and log right into it if you wanted to.
Okay.
So you can be off network, on network. It just depends on if you're paired up.
Really, that's kind of the key feature of what Edge offers. Is it
Exactly.
means I don't have to have access to that local network to manage and operate and configure my Perls.
That's right. Yep.
So that's really what we're promoting here is the idea of pair it to the cloud. You've always got your fingertips are always right there, able to access regardless of where you're located.
For sure.
Sriram has a question on Perl 2. I'm having 6 different camera and laptop inputs that I would need to mix into a single layout and need to stream it to multiple destinations simultaneously. Then how many maximum destinations would be possible?
So this will come down to bandwidth in most cases, but the limit for Perl 2 is like 50 to 100 different destinations. Perl Mini is like 10 to 20, Nano is 6 to 10, and Perl Nexus would be the same as Perl Mini, 10 to 20. So yeah, you should be able to, as long as your network can support it, because each of those streams are essentially a unicast stream, so you're going to have, if you have 3 of them and they're all 3 megabit per second, then you have 9 megabit per second going out of your internet or your network pipe. and you need to make sure you have enough headroom for that as well. You can't have exactly what you need. You need more than what you need,
Right.
because there will always be peaks and valleys.
Right. So if I've got like 50 megs of upload bandwidth,
Yeah,
I can maybe be doing, let's call it,
like 35, maybe 40.
Yeah.
But you'd be cautious even around that. You wouldn't want to go anywhere close to your.
I think the
Upwards.
key is here that it's not, the Pearl is not going to limit you.
No. Especially not Pearl 2.
Yeah, definitely what you're describing, Sriram, that's definitely doable.
Yeah.
Definitely doable with the Pearl 2.
Yeah.
Provided you have the bandwidth to hit all of those
Yeah.
content destinations.
Now, a quick distinction here too is that we support multicast streaming. So if those destinations were on the actual network, then you could stream to a multicast enabled network, and then those smart TVs, whatever they are, will be able to see that stream and then grab it from the network. So it's one stream from Pearl, and then the network distributed.
Right, that would be like an RTSP.
No, that would be like RTP, UDP, or
Okay.
yeah,
Got
for
it.
sure. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. He has another question as well. Also, if whichever camera I'm using as inputs in the above, would I be able to access the raw feeds of the cameras being recorded? Absolutely. In fact, that's what we're doing right now. Like if I switch, I'll go back and show you our Pearl that's running this show. Maybe I'll just zoom in a little here. So you see, like, I have our program here, right? So this is what you guys are seeing. So this has all the switching, all the mixing of all my sources. But on my Pearl, I've also created a feed, a channel just for the camera. I've created a channel just for this camera. I've created a channel for my laptop. There it is. And I've created a channel. We can do 6 channels on a Pearl 2, right? I've created a channel that's just Ryan's laptop. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 channels running here, and they're all recording at the same time.
Yep.
Now I'm only streaming my program channel, but if I wanted to stream, just this camera and go to another destination, there's no reason why I can't do that.
Nothing's
right?
stopping you doing that.
So there we go. We just did that. So yeah, hopefully that's answers your question, and I think that it sounds like Pearl 2 should have no problem accomplishing what you're trying to do.
No, it's good. Yep.
Daniel's asking, where can we find this recording of this session? So we'll email it to you. I think later today. If not today, tomorrow. We'll email you the recording. Another place you'll be able to see it, not right away, but maybe next week, is on our YouTube channel.
Sure.
So the Epiphan YouTube channel has a ton of videos on there, lots of how-tos, and all of our previous webinars as well. So if you want to find them there, you can also find them on our website. Elaine is asking, how much load does the live stream in Edge put on Pearl?
Live stream.
Oh, when you opened up, so she's asking, remember when you opened up the channel and you previewed it in full frame rate?
Yep.
How much processing does that require from your Pearl?
It requires a little bit. I think it's somewhere about half of a channel or so. Like it's not as much of a channel, but it does consume a little bit of CPU.
So you probably don't want to have 6 sources all streaming at the same time live, right?
Yeah. It's meant for going in, checking it out, and getting
And then
out
close it.
most of the way.
It's not meant as a viewing live viewer, really.
Yeah, you could use it if you wanted to for that, but you wouldn't want, like, if you had a Pearl Mini that was already had like 3 channels with IP inputs, things like that, then you might notice CPU spikes when you're doing that. So yeah.
And I could probably suggest a better way to get that live feed is, one of the things we can do with a Pearl is an SRT stream.
Yeah.
So you could have, for instance, on your computer, you could be using VLC, and you could open up an SRT stream. So we could just take one of our channels off, maybe this program channel, we would SRT stream it,
Yep.
and then I could open that up on VLC on my laptop and have like a nice big viewer with like sub-second of latency.
Yep.
So that might be the best way from a more permanent monitoring situation. But as far as in Epiphan Edge, it's really just a great tool to be able to quickly click and open a feed and check on it.
And using Dan's workflow there, that could be part of your scheduled streams that you're starting. And so you could just have that go at the same time your RTP stuff does. So.
And I just open my VLC and it's there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That's it.
Let's see here. I think that's about it. Yeah. So we still have 84 people here. Want to thank you all so much for joining us today. If you have any more questions, you can always follow up with us.
Yep.
You can email support@epiphan.com. You can go to our website, and the chatbot there will connect you with our customer success team as well.
Yep.
Any other ways to hit us up on the socials as well. We're
Yeah.
pretty active on LinkedIn. And
Yeah. And all sales inquiries, just sales@epiphan.com as well. If it is more of like a commercial sales type question, you want to look at buying devices, email sales. If you email support, we'll just direct you to sales anyways.
Awesome. And hey, if you want an in-person or a more personalized demo where we can walk through your exact use case, we're always happy to do those as well.
Yep.
We're going to be exhibiting in a lot of places over the next second half of the year. I know we're going to be hitting pretty much every city in Canada. I'll be in Calgary tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll be in Toronto, I believe, maybe even Montreal.
Yeah,
maybe,
and
so.
then I think we have a bunch of destinations across the U.S. and then Anthony's over in Europe as well. So if you want to meet with us in person, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'd love to connect. So
For sure.
Thanks for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed hanging out with us and had some fun and learn about how to streamline and simplify your video workflow.
Cheers.
And let's end this just how we started it. See you guys later. Thanks.